Okay, I believe we are good to go. I see the red light on. We are awesome. Okay, so tonight, welcome everyone. We're going to start at about 5 after and wait for everybody to kind of trickle in so I don't have to repeat myself. Welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to be going over FERPA, GDPR, SOX as an SOX, as an X-ray, not SOC this time, right? We're going to go over, of course, at the tail end, the career AMA with a focus on LinkedIn profiles, right? Because that is your digital presence, okay, out there in the ether, okay, to attract, employers. And so we want to turn your LinkedIn into a honeypot in a good way so that you can start getting folks, right, making the first move and inquiring about your skills, right, and expertise in order to hire you, right? Makes a lot better too in your quest for jobs in our field. And then of course we'll wrap it up with any final questions. We'll go over the program, the entire program, right? What we covered a variety of things, right? We covered a lot actually, and wrap up with any final questions from you. Again, next steps, okay, even post-graduation and all that good old stuff. All right, so with that said, it's 1 minute after. I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on mute. Share your LinkedIn profiles. I know there's a LinkedIn section on Discord. So if you haven't already shared there, I do recommend, because that's there for forever, right? You can share here too, but that will only be available, of course, through the time that you have access to the chat, right? What have you. Again, all these recordings will be posted on YouTube. Okay, many of them already are, so you can refer back to whenever when you want to review, and go back and review. There's everything from the resume guidance, right? Both commercial and federal. There's all of the HIPAA and PCI DSS, the CMMC, all that stuff has actually been posted to YouTube for your benefit, right? So you can always refer back to it. Okay, so and then you'll still continue to have access to the Discord channel and all that. For folks that will no longer, right? I need you guys to fill out that AAR. I did post the link to the Google form and MS Teams, and go ahead and fill that out at your leisure. Not right now, because I want everybody to kind of focus on the training, but and the discussion, right? After the training's done, because there's gonna be a lot of really good and important information we're gonna put out tonight. But when you get a chance, right, sometime between now and of course Friday, okay, please fill that out. And of course, there's also a question in there. Are you interested in staying on post-graduation to support our SOC? Okay, and I'm going to discuss what that looks like or what have you. Post-graduation, we'll go over alumni events, the frequency, and all of that. Okay, so just hang tight. I appreciate your patience. And all right, so 2 more minutes, right? If you need to go do a bio break, do it now. I'm going to go ahead and step away for a moment. I'll be back at like I said, 5 after. Okay, see you guys soon. Hey, it looks like we're 5 after, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to cover FERPA and GDPR, then SOX, and then I'll discuss the remaining of the session, after that. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone or hear everyone, albeit virtual, right? But we do what we do. Yeah, now that we're all here, or at least the people that are going to be here, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's talk about FERPA. What does the FERPA acronym stand for, do you think? Does anyone know? And come off mute. Put in the chat something. Does anyone know what FERPA stands for? Any ideas? See Alexi posting something. I'll wait. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's close. Yep. Yes, Troy. Okay, excellent. All right, the answer is right here. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. Okay, 1974. Okay, so what does GDPR stand for? Good review for some of you. I know you guys had a slide in university. I know, because I used to teach that curriculum. It just has like one slide, one brief slide. It goes over like, that's basically it. What does GDPR stand for? You can come off mute if you want. I prefer it actually because
protection regulation, I think.
Okay, that's good. Excellent. Yep, it's the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. Yep, excellent, right? I know we speak in acronyms, but it's important to know what they stand for too, because sometimes we speak in acronyms so much we do forget what they are. But sometimes for good reason, though. I mean, I'm not saying we should forget what they are, but it's too long to say, and that's why we end up abbreviating them, right? That's why we do speak in acronyms. So is FERPA compliance sufficient, do you think, for complying with the GDPR? From what you know, I know we haven't gone through the training yet, but from what you understand it to be, do you think it would be or not? What do you think? No. Yeah. Okay. So why do you think? Why do you think that? Because voice is actually better because this will be on YouTube. So
yeah. I'm going to say no, just because of the simple fact that if it was, they would have come up with a completely different acronym for it.
Yeah. Well, okay, fair enough.
So
but go ahead.
Isn't GDPR for the European Union specifically?
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, FERPA's
we're going to get into that. That's an excellent observation, but we're going to get into that. Okay. So do you think, excellent comment so far. Okay. So are FERPA and GDPR the same or different? Like, are they similar, you think, or are they different?
I mean, they're different, right? One is regulations and the other one, I don't know much about FERPA, to be honest.
Well, that's okay. That's why I'm covering it because, no, that's exactly why I'm covering it, because you'd be surprised. As faculty, right, like when I was a professor, right, we had to take FERPA training. We had to, it was mandatory, right? Anybody handling, just like HIPAA, right? If you're handling PHI data, right, whether you're a doctor, pharmacist, front desk, medical person, I mean, everyone has to take HIPAA training because it's how you manage electronic, ePHI, and of course the printed, right, medical documents and patient records and all kinds of things, right? Similarly, FERPA is for education, right? It's for education, and a lot of the faculty knows, okay, because we're taught how to handle it. But the student actually doesn't. You sign off on a lot of things, but you really don't know your rights, right? So I'm going to go over that. What are the student rights under FERPA? I'm also going to cover from the IT perspective on both. Okay, so I'm doing that on both. So just hang tight with me. I appreciate you all's patience, but we're going to get through everything tonight. Kind of dissect it a bit. So, fundamentally, of course, the scope, okay, and the specific parameters of FERPA and GDPR are actually quite different. They are, and we're going to talk about that tonight. FERPA pertains to the task basically of storing, handling, and releasing of student records. The European Union General Data Protection Regulation, okay, refer to the processing of personal data, which for the purposes of the regulation means Any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person, basically referred to as a data subject, okay, in GDPR. So when it talks about that, that's the nomenclature it's referring. The data subject is actually the person, right? You know, and of course, this training today will shed some light on this very topic. And by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to answer this very question, right? Of FERPA compliance, GDPR compliance mechanisms, you know, the how, the what, the why, etc. Right? So we're going to also compare and contrast. Okay, Troy brought up, right? Is GDPR just for European data? Excellent question. Let's talk about the difference between US and European data. So the EU definition of personal data is very broad, okay? Whereas the United States, the processing of personal identifiable information is generally permitted and subject to a patchwork quilt of laws in the US, which define, of course, specific data elements like personal information, like name and combination of the SSN and so on and so forth, right? Does the GDPR apply to the United States? We're going to find that out, okay? So just hang tight because I have a slide on it. Okay, so are there any prohibitions in European law versus US law when it comes to processing or storing privacy data? What do you think? Any guesses?
I don't know, but I'm gonna guess that the US is far more forgiving of the storing and processing of personal data than the EU is, from my understanding of the generalizations of our laws versus theirs.
We actually have some pretty tight laws, actually. California actually is, and there's state laws, right? The California law actually is probably the most stringent that I have seen in all of our 50 states and, of course, our 4 territories, right? Guam and all that, Virgin Islands and stuff, right? So in the EU, more specifically, okay, and in many other countries around the world, okay, processing of personal data is generally prohibited, okay, unless certain requirements are satisfied. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, and so we're going to begin to compare one such sectoral regulation, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, against the GDPR, okay? And we're going to walk it through and how it applies to US data, vice Europe, et cetera, and other countries that may or may not be participating, right, in these, okay? So what's the purpose of FERPA, right, and the purpose of GDPR? So, you know, is there a significant difference? There are, right? We kind of discussed a little bit. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, okay, as amended, sets forth requirements regarding the privacy of student records, okay? Whereas the purpose of the GDPR is to enable the free movement of personal data within the Union. And when I talk about Union, I'm saying European Union in this case, while protecting the fundamental rights and freedoms of natural persons and their right to the protection of that personal data, right? So we're going to talk about all of that. So the material scope, right, applies to K through 12 schools and post-secondary institutions. However, specifically the scope is limited to eligible students, those 18 or those attending an institution of higher education regardless of age. Okay, when we talk about post-secondary institutions, okay? For the material scope of the GDPR, okay, applies to the processing of personal data wholly or partly by automated means within the scope of the union law. And any data also, like European data, for instance, on any website, e-commerce site around the world, right, managing European data specifically, okay, that's why Facebook, Meta, you know, Mr. Zuckerberg got fined because he was mishandling, okay, the European personnel data, right? So, you know, you got to be very careful with that. So the territorial scope, okay, does it apply, do you think, to any educational institution, though? Because FERPA is a US act, it's a law, right? But do you think it applies to any educational institution, yes or no?
If it's in the US, I would say yes, but I don't believe that any European schools would have to follow it, just like they wouldn't have to follow any other US laws.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the specific thing here is that It's any educational institution, any school or other entity that provides educational services and is attended by students, or any educational agency, basically an entity that administers schools directly linked to it, that receive funds under any program administered by the U.S. Secretary of Education. So, Cyvergence AI, right? We're a trade school. Do you think we have to apply and implement FERPA? What kind of funding do you think we would get? What kind of funding do you think I'm pursuing, right, in order to, for the apprenticeship program?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, absolutely, right, 100%. So 2 lines of funding that I'm actually pursuing is Montgomery GI Bill, access to Montgomery GI Bill for use of the veterans, right? All my fellow vets that want to take the apprenticeship program, they can tap into the Montgomery GI Bill funds. And then the second line of funding, right, is of course, government grants, right? To actually for any non-veterans, right, to be able to pay for that apprenticeship program, but by use of grant money, right, and grant funding. So in essence, by those 2 lines of funding, right, I am subjected to, of course, meeting those requirements. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question, right? Because based on what you said, FERPA only applies to places that are being funded by the U.S. Are there any places outside of the U.S. that are being funded by us that now fall under FERPA?
Yeah, so FERPA, excellent question, actually. And so this predominantly deals with, U.S. citizen data, okay? Student identification number data, right, and all that other stuff. So anywhere where it's using, like any U.S. students, like overseas on military bases, those types of things, or they're going to a school, right? Just like here, we have to adhere to GDPR, right? When we're managing, European data citizens, right, that might come here for school or whatever, then those schools have to not only adhere to FERPA, but they also have to adhere to GDPR. And then vice versa, right? FERPA, albeit a US law, it applies to any student, right? Whether here or overseas, right? Attending schools, right? And what have you. But specifically though, when it talks about, funding, so like if you have like transfer students, international, exchange students, those types of things, there's a lot of different lines of funds and things. But I would say more specifically that any educational institute, like charter schools, anything, even if you don't receive funding from the US, I would think it would be in your best interest to protect that data, right? Don't you agree? That's the student data, the parent data, the faculty data anyways. Okay, so so I just say, just like with us, right, with our systems basically are categorized as moderate, right? Basically medium baseline of NIST standards based upon the fact that we are processing PII and of course PHI where it's applicable if somebody just sends in a doctor's note or whatever, okay? Because then of course that changes it to PHI, right? That information. But very similarly, okay, so instead of just doing moderate level of controls, I decided to bump it up to a high level of baseline of control so that we are exceeding the requirement. It only makes sense, right, to apply a higher level of controls to your environment anyways. So that's something then gives you a broader scope and the ability, and yes, it costs more money, but it gives you ability to actually tighten up the provisions of defenses, right, in your organization. A huge part of that is training too, right? Training across everything. But excellent question, though, excellent question. Okay, so the territorial scope of GDPR, okay, applies to the processing that takes place in the union, but what union, right? And of course, does the GDPR apply to the US? Okay, so it applies to the processing that takes place in the union, European Union, or by a processor who has an establishment in the union within the context of activities in the union, European Union, or to processing activities that are related to the offering of goods and services to or behavioral monitoring of data subjects in the union. So here we go. So then GDPR, right? Like the e-commerce site, right? Anywhere it's exchange of transaction or even a form, you'll notice on the AAR, the very last question, or one of the questions they say, is that do we have your permission to process and store your data basically provided in the form for the purpose of contacting you, right? Yes or no. So you have to ask permission in order to get the, and you have to have the ability to also delete that data. We're going to get into examples of that and how we've applied it on our website towards the end, okay? Towards the end. So, because again, we applied, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk, okay? So now we talk about personal data, you know, educational records, right? So PII, information that would directly identify the student or make the student's identity easily traceable, okay, is known as directory information. Okay, educational records directly related to a student and maintained by an educational agency or institution or by a party acting for the agency or institution, right? So that's what it refers to. Okay, now when we talk about GDPR, personal data, means that any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person, the data subject, right, like I was mentioning before, an identifiable natural person is anyone that can be identified either directly or indirectly by reference to anything that can ultimately identify them. And that includes a name, an identification number, location data, an online identifier, like a geolocation, anything, or to data that relates to the physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, or social identity of that natural person, right? So let's talk about sensitive data. So are there exceptions to the FERPA data? There are, okay? So in the 2009 regulations, clarification was provided, okay, that a social security number or even part of an SSN cannot be designated as directory information. But exceptions are, okay, now get this, because again, I just needed you guys to understand, because a lot of people honestly don't know FERPA. A lot of students don't know FERPA at all, actually know their rights under FERPA. And there are certain exceptions that you need to be made aware of. And if you're faculty teaching or if you're IT personnel, you know, managing those systems, you need to know, because exceptions are grades, GPA, race, gender, religion, and national origin. Okay, there are also items that cannot be designated as directory information. Go ahead, Michael. You have a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you just say that the exception was that, well, that Social Security did not count as a personally identifiable information?
No, it is included as PII, personally
Oh, okay,
identifiable
okay.
information. No, it is, but there are some exceptions to directory information. So directory
Okay.
information, you know how you have a student directory, right? So think in terms of that, right? A student directory, when you're on a college or campus, right? Whether it be digital or otherwise, okay? The exceptions to the rule of FERPA are grades, GPA. You know how you can post like the grades, right? You can actually post them, like you even post like who's in the class, you can post all that stuff, which is, you're allowed to do that, because as long as it's within that student directory, the faculty directory. So in that student directory, grades, GPA, race, gender, religion, and national origin. Okay. And then in the revised regulations, state specifically that a student identification number, the SIN, also cannot be directory information, it's PII, right? So a student ID number or user ID or other unique personal identifier used by the student or for purposes of accessing or communicating in electronic systems can be directory information only if the identifier cannot be used to gain access to the education records without an additional factor. So basically, right, so the difference is, right, so when we talk about directory information, we're talking about communication or posting different things like on a wall or on a board, right? Whether or not you are K through 12 or higher education, right? There are limitations on what we can post and what we consider directory information that's basically available within the public means, okay, of that university or that campus, right? By things that cannot be posted. Obviously, we would not be posting your social security number or even your last four, right, on a board, right, in a campus board, right, or on, like you see in the K through 12, you see those boards, right, where everybody's posting things and what have you, like who's going to be in the class, right? Which really strange, they're allowed to actually post the first and last name. You know, you notice that, right? So when you assign a teacher, like my kids are not in school anymore, but it used to be like you had to wait for everything was posted to see. Sometimes it's like the day of or the day before, and you're able to go to the school and you're able to actually see your kid falls in that class and who the teacher is. And they would post the first and the last name, the class, the teacher, right? You know, and the room number and stuff, right? That's actually considered directory information. I wish it wasn't, because that's actually PII, right? And that actually helps, you know, if somebody is actually looking for and targeting a specific individual, e.g. either the teacher or the student, they would know exactly what room to go in and everything else, right? So, you know, so there's a lot of provisions and stuff being made so that certain thoughts, you know, we Americans like to post everything. Like, we post our food, we post everything. We talk about everything. We even talk about, I mean, we're so like loose lips sink ships, right? Like they say, it's true. We talk about so much. We're loud, we're obnoxious, we brag, we're braggarts, we're narcissistic, all these things. But it's, you know, it's not, it's what we call OPSEC, right? We need to employ OPSEC, operational security, right? And understand what we put out there. And also what we're advising. Just because it's allowed to be on a directory doesn't mean it should, right? So as long as you can propose something with a justification, right? You know, then you should be allowed to do so. And furthermore, for instance, in FERPA, once your kid becomes 18, unless your kid, well, your adult kid, because I have 2 of them now, but unless they specifically state that we, the parent, can have access to grades, we can call the school all we want, moan and complain and all that good old stuff. They're not going to release a thing because it's against FERPA regulation, right? Same thing with patient records, right? You have to actually put exceptions in, like who can the doctor, who can that hospital or whatever share your information with, right? Because anyone that's not on that authorized list is not going to get any information. Sorry. You know, even though you told them verbally, yeah, go ask, they're not going to care because they're looking at the form and they're following the regulation, the regulatory guidance. HIPAA is an act, it's law. FERPA is an act, it's law. Okay. So sensitive data when it comes to GDPR, are there exceptions or special categories to the GDPR? Yes, there are. Okay. So special categories of data that are considered particularly sensitive, okay, according to the GDPR, and I actually agree with this, are personal data revealing racial or ethnic origin, political opinions, religious or philosophical beliefs, or trade union membership, and the processing of genetic data, biometric data, or anything really for the purpose of uniquely identifying a natural person. Any data concerning health or data concerning a natural person's sex life or sexual orientation, right, is also considered sensitive data under the GDPR, okay? All right, so let's talk about the rights of students under FERPA. Can you think of any? What do you think are your rights as a student under FERPA? Any ideas? Just take a swag. Yes, FERPA covers teachers' privacy as well as parents and stuff too, right? Everyone within that construct, right? It's any natural persons basically that are, you know, employees, faculty, you know, which are the teachers, principals, superintendents, parents, you know, kids, right? Or adult kids. Like I call my kids adult kids. They're still kids in my eyes. Any ideas, you guys? What are your rights, do you think, as a student under FERPA? Kind of guess from the student's perspective.
Well, so you have the right to privacy. All your data is kept anonymous and private and everything. I'm not sure what other rights you would have.
Exactly, I know, and that's why I'm covering this, because, you know, it's not surprising, right, that a lot of students actually don't know. Okay, again, we as faculty are trained on it all the time, but you sign off on a lot of things you really don't know what you're signing from a student's perspective. Like right now, I'm back in school, I'm taking courses, but I know what my rights are because I know FERPA, right? I know it from both the teacher's perspective and the student perspective, and that's another reason why too I wanted to cover it as well as part of the curriculum. Right, for you guys too, because it falls under our GRC requirements too when it comes to IT, and we'll discuss that too. You have the right to inspect, okay, and review your education records within 45 days of you requesting it. You have the right to request an amendment to your education records. You have the right to consent to disclosures of personally identifiable information contained in your educational records. And you have the right to file a complaint within the U.S. Department of Education concerning alleged failures to comply with FERPA. But if you don't know what FERPA is, then how would you even know if there was a failure, right? In which to even complain about, right? Or ask about, okay? So, the law really applies to institutions receiving, U.S. Department of Education funds, okay? And provides privacy rights to students 18 years or older, okay, or those in post-secondary institutions when we're talking about higher ed. We're talking about K through 12, obviously the parents, right, have the rights to the information, but again, they have to be specifically authorized, just like in patient data, HIPAA data, PHI data, or specifically on the forms, who can pick up your kid, who can call and ask questions about your child, right? All these things, you sign off on that, right? It's all under FERPA. It's all under FERPA, okay? So here's a couple of resources, right? So let's kind of go there right now. So provided, again, I always provide authoritative links. I'm not done with the training on this either. We have a few more slides, but I kind of wanted to cover this right quick. So let me go ahead, and it's coming up on the other screen, so just give it a moment. Okay, so here is directly from the U.S. Department of Education, okay? And here is the law, 34 CFR Part 99, the family educational rights and privacy, right? And all the different things. So there's a lot of additional information here, okay, that you can actually peruse through, right? That has a direct source, a direct line of sight to that. Now I'm also going to then, hold on a second, let me move this over. Then of course I'm going to click on this other link that's going to also pop up and have to move it back. A second. That's my bad. I didn't do that. Anyways, I'll provide the other link, okay, when I get a chance after. But anyways, that goes gov.uk, but specifically it goes to the Data Protection Act and of course the GDPR, okay, over the European data, and of which other countries have adopted for good reason, okay, because it is pretty thorough. It is pretty thorough. We do have federal laws governing privacy, right? For instance, BAE Systems, which actually does business with the federal government. One of the managers actually sent over, okay, BAE is actually a British-owned, UK-owned company, okay, BAE Systems, that's what it stands for. But you'll see them a lot because they have a lot of government contracts like with DoD and others. But there was a supervisor, this was years ago, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, 15 years ago. So it's been a while, it's been a minute, but they learned their lesson because there was a manager that actually sent over some US citizen data of one of their employees to one of their HR department in the UK. So it crossed international lines, even though it's digital. They got in trouble, they got fined because that's against the law. So we do actually have a Privacy Act, a law here in the United States federally. There are also state laws. Again, California, that's why I bring up California, because believe it or not, I'm not really happy the way California has turned out because that's my home state. That's where I was born, actually. My mom is there right now, like my aunt and everything. I didn't go back there, though, because they're not business friendly. They'll tax the heck out of you. And it's just not a good place to live right now. So that's why I decided not to go back. But I will actually give them a shout out for their privacy policy for that state of California. Check it out. Go to and just look at it when you get a chance. It is so comprehensive. It actually is on par with the GDPR. I was pretty impressed, actually. And again, if you do business or whatever it is in that state, right, you have to also adhere to the laws, both state and of course federal, right? Or in the location in which you are, doing business, right? All right, so what training and notification strategies do you think we should implement now? Should be implement, IMP, that's my bad. Okay, so, implement, now it's gonna bother me a little bit, but anyways, all right, it's all good. What kind of training and notification strategies do you think we should implement for GDPR and FERPA, now that you know a little bit? Who should the training be for? Who should be trained?
Mandatory.
Yeah, it should be mandatory, right? But for whom?
Anyone who's going to be looking at or working with or managing the
Or has access
FERPA,
to
student data and educational data. As far as GDPR, that's a good question.
I feel like that should
Yes,
be
anybody in Europe or anybody that has the capacity to send data over through Europe.
Yeah, but it's for everyone. We've applied GDPR here too. So, and I'll just show you on the website too, because we have to adhere to it, even when we're capturing data, even like at a trade show or whatever, we have to ask permission. And I'm gonna share that with you because there's certain things that are aligned with there that you have to make sure, even a website, a US, you know, owned and operated company, a website even has to adhere to that. And we do, and I'm gonna show you how we do in a minute. So yeah, the training should be of anybody handling the data, employees, faculty, staff, students, and I go so far as parents. I think parents, when you enroll your kid, I think there should be an annual training, you know, that parents should have to do, right? Could be brief, but it's almost like the cyber awareness training only for parents, parent style, right? So they know there are laws and things governing their kids' records, right? So when they go to try to ask something, and it's like, okay, well, that's why you need to put who's authorized, right, for the records. You know, don't be calling and complaining. Right. I found that the K through the most abhorrent, like they are out of their minds. And the reason why I can say that now is because my kids are 9 years apart. Okay. 9 years apart. My daughter is older. My son is younger. So I had a daughter, you know, in middle school and then high school, right. While my son, right, was attending, okay, you know, K through 6, right? And all that. So, because they were 9 years apart. And so I would get in the line, there's a drop off my kids, I get in the line, the K through 6, right? Elementary school. And they're like, honk, like, you know, I'm like, what the heck, man? People are crazy. Like, what the heck? And I go to just drop off my daughter, even in middle school or high school, and people are more like copacetic, right? People are more chill. Same thing with like when you go to an orientation, right? Like when you go to your freshman orientation, let's just say for parents, right? Because they have those too, right? For high school and stuff, because things are different, right? And you can tell the high school parents because they are so relaxed. It's like so much different, right? The vibe is so different than when you attend something for the elementary school. People are just, I don't know, stressed or something, but it just drove me insane because I'm like, look, take a chill pill. Like, what the heck, man? Don't try to run me over. Like, what the heck, you know, kind of thing. Just believe it or not. So anyways, yeah. So for any of you guys, any of you ladies and gents that have kids in elementary school, it gets better. Okay, as they now middle school, they go through, they're all hormonal. So that's the thing you have to be concerned with. Okay, and you do have to let them know about the laws governing sharing, you know, pictures and stuff. So make sure you cover that with them, because don't think that your kid is immune from that. They all end up doing it, every single one of them. They may not tell you, but they do it. And they can be actually, it's a federal offense for them doing that, because, you know, it's like they're sharing child porn or whatever, right? So make sure you cover that for your kids that are going through middle school, because it's not that it won't happen, it will happen 100%. It's 100% of everyone does it. It's crazy. You'd think they wouldn't. And the stuff that they say between each other because they think it's cool to curse and all the other stuff. I don't know. I mean, I thought I gave my kids a really good foundation, but you'd be surprised with all the outward, you know, interference, I should say, you know, influence of folks that they do the weirdest things. So make sure you're locking down their phones and stuff like that, their internet, right? Don't just think they're older and because you told them, you know, to be safe, that they are. Are you kidding? They're the most, their frontal lobe is not fully developed until they're 25, so they're very impulsive and they're not going to listen to us, the parents, no matter if you're a cybersecurity professional or not. Trust me. My daughter refuses to uninstall TikTok to this day. She's 28 years old. I don't have TikTok. I told her to install it. I told her why, give the justification. And does she listen to me? Absolutely not. You know, I'm just saying. All right, so the notifications, right? So we will look when we do notifications, what I'm talking about. So you need to notify entities that the information that they're being exposed to is subject to FERPA or GDPR. Okay, and it actually is protected information, and that cannot be disclosed without that person's consent, right? Third parties also with access to this information should be notified as well. That's everything in the supply chain, any APIs, anything like that you have integrated also into your systems. Now, if students are using ChatGPT, where do you think their information is going? Any clue? Do you know where the ChatGPT information is going when you type something in? Any clue? ChatGPT is open source, right? So it's going out the ether. So any information there, and if you have actually integrated, right, have an API call into your environment, that's why we'll never, like a lot of businesses like pulling up an application and say, oh yeah, use some like what they call no code, but it's still code on the back end. Give me a break. It's just code that's already basically built scripts and things, and APIs are able to put together, basically mesh together in order to form some type of application, right, for a purpose, a justification. But what they're doing is they're leveraging ChatGPT, for instance, in a lot of these with legal and all the other stuff. But in order for ChatGPT, because it's machine learning, right, it's really not really AI so much, okay, is it's the language processing, the NLP stuff, right? It's only language. It learns what you say, and it provides a canned response, basically, okay, over time. And it gets better through the responses. And again, it's what we put in there, and of course, what developers ended up putting back. Okay, it gets better and better and better. But what it's doing is it has to, in order to get better, it has to take a lot of information. It's machine learning, and to include, an API or anything like that that you have integrated into your systems, right? So that is a concern. That's why I did not integrate it with my EdTech, the Metaversity XR. I didn't touch it. I'm like, I have my own thing in there. I'm not actually using, because that you're integrating an API and it's opening you up for risk, right? So take all that in consideration, okay? Even though something sounds cool and all that, but it's your job to actually, okay, come back to the real world, common sense, be grounded and say, okay, wait a minute here. I know that sounds awesome, but what kind of impact, security impact, what kind of risk, unnecessary risk, is it really worth the risk, right? Am I going to introduce an unnecessary element of risk into my environment and to the data that's processed, stored, transmitted, okay? And again, remember, we need to adhere to FERPA, GDPR, okay? HIPAA, PCI DSS, there's a ton of them, right? FISMA, the FISMA Act, right? All that kind of stuff, right? So with that said, I kind of discussed a little bit, but what kind of information security strategies then should we implement? And should these strategies differ? And if so, how? What do you think?
Well,
is it different?
so,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Trey.
So,
Sorry.
Well, FERPA, much like HIPAA, it is a specific sect of personal information, whereas GDPR is much, like you said, it's much broader, and just how any information moves that can be used to identify someone. So, as for how they are different, I don't think that FERPA is going to apply in most situations unless you are in the education field.
Okay, but the question, okay, but what is, fair enough, okay, but GDPR applies to everyone, right? But, okay, so with that said, with everything you've learned, using NIST, CIS, all that kind of stuff, what kind of information security strategies could we implement for both to protect the data? Stuff that you guys have already learned.
Encryption?
Yeah, absolutely. And then eliminating vulnerabilities, right? Databases in the cloud are not always protected as well, right? So you need to perform vulnerability scans on your cloud-based databases for potential vulnerabilities. MongoDB and others are open source, so be very careful, right? They all sound cool, they're easy to implement, but they are a heck of a risk. If any vulnerabilities are found, of course, we then what? We immediately, remediate the issue. Okay. You need to also, take a look at your non-cloud based systems, but most of us are using mostly stuff in the cloud. Look at for Cyvergence, it was all in the cloud really, except for the stuff on the BYOD, home machine, but everything that we have in the cloud for backups and stuff. Okay. Also compliance monitoring mechanisms, right? You kind of need a 24/7, 365 monitoring ability, right? A SOC, right, would be great, right? Because hackers never sleep, networks never sleep, okay? So, it's smart for institutions to implement compliance monitoring mechanisms as well, okay? Compliance monitoring, all that kind of stuff, right? SIM and SOARs and everything else? What about an information security plan, assessments and updates, right? So FERPA, like GDPR and other regulations, can change in response to changing circumstances. So institutions, banks, e-commerce, everybody really would be well advised to perform regular assessments of their information security plan and their environment in light of changing circumstances. And of course, should update their plans accordingly. And that's what we do. We do the continuous assessment. And you know what's awesome is Treasury is moving to that too, because I made that recommendation. They're moving to that too. But it's a continuous assessment anyways that everybody's trying to move to. It's been out forever. But they kind of do the annual thing, right? They do either the tri-annual or the annual thing. So that idea really didn't come from me. It's been out there forever. But for us, though, we do it continually, right? We do it continually because we're continually looking at risk because it changes. You know, look at how many times we have changed technology, right? And what have you. You know, we have people that come in and out, you know, we have transitioners, right? And all that other stuff. So it's important for us to continually stay abreast of what's going on in our environments, continuously make changes, right? So we do continuous risk assessments, like, you know, constantly. So with that said, then, what types of IT and cyber security policies would be appropriate then to develop? What would you recommend for GDPR and or FERPA? What are one of the policies you could put together? What do you think?
The anonymizing of PII.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a technical policy. Absolutely. What kind of written policy do you think we can put in? But yeah, you're right. That's a good one too. What you guys know, what you guys have researched doesn't change just because the regulation is different. It's the same underlying fundamental knowledge, right? So one of the policies that we can implement would be a data breach policy or even a data spillage policy, right? So, because no matter how tight information security can be made, really no system is completely impenetrable, right? So you need to have those written policies and procedures, and of course those technical policy and procedures. At some point in time, your information security system will probably be breached. Yeah, but you can prevent it though. Okay, so you should create and implement data breach policies and procedures. Okay, and it'll also demonstrate to any potential auditor. Okay, we're going to talk about SOX later and stuff, but it'll demonstrate to any auditor really that while you are confident in your information security system, you have a disaster contingency plan in place for when a breach does occur, right? So incident response, disaster recovery, right? All these things, everything you guys learned, access control policy procedures, auto log policy, all those things still apply, right? Even though the regulation has a different nomenclature, all those underlying factors, that fundamental knowledge you've learned, and that's why I always point to the NIST SP 853 Rev 5. Because you're going to find in FERPA, you're going to find in FISMA, you're going to find in all of it, actually, ISO and all that. It's very high level, okay, is what they recommend. So people don't know then where to start. They go, okay, yeah, access control. Okay, but what does that mean exactly? That's too generalized, too broad of a statement, right? What does it mean then? How does somebody then actually put in some provisions to meet the compliance objectives? That's why I was pointing to the NIST SP 853 Rev 5, because it's the implementation guide, right? And you can literally stand up a security program from bottom to the top to the bottom, using those controls as a checklist, every single one of them, because it covers everything. DLP, encryption, VPN, data at rest, all of it, access control, right? Covers everything, right? So that's what I'm saying, is use that underlying document no matter what, because you'll see there's a lot of overlap in this. The requirements are the same. They might kind of name them a little bit differently. Yeah, there you go. Data retention and disposal policies. Yep, that's perfect too. Exactly. Right? Decommissioning policies, all that, right? Exactly. You guys are on it. You guys know this stuff. That's what I'm saying. You guys know this stuff. The underlying foundational knowledge you've learned doesn't change. It's, just the regulation, name maybe changes, but that's about it. All the underlying fundamental knowledge you guys are learning and have learned are the same, that you can take anywhere and apply it anywhere, whether it's be nonprofit, for-profit, whatever. So do we need to apply GDPR or FERPA to our websites? I kind of mentioned that. And if so, what do you think we need to apply? I know you guys haven't read the GDPR yet or anything like that, but what do you think? Yes or no? Can we just stand up a website? Believe it or not, I had a client that actually, oh my God, I was out of California actually. It was a physical trainer. Okay, I think I told the spring crew this months ago, but it was a client that I had. And he was one of those know-it-alls kind of thing, right? And what have you. And he didn't even know that you have to employ, GDPR on your site. So let's kind of go there because I want to actually even go to our site. Because again, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. So let's kind of go to Cyvergence. Let's go to Cyvergence. Okay, so first and foremost, one of the mandatory requirements under GDPR is what they call a privacy policy statement. Okay, now what we've done is we have, and of course, how you manage your cookies and stuff. So this is ours. So if you click on this, whenever it comes up, this is our privacy and cookies policy. And ours goes in depth, okay, because, right, also tells like the purpose of the data, the type of data we capture, okay, the legal basis for capturing, if it applies, inquiry data, publication data, all of it, okay, what we do with your data. If we provide your personal data to others and why, right? International transfers of your personal data, retaining and deleting your personal data, because that's another requirement with GDPR. You have to have the ability to delete that person's data, okay? And that's something that Meta did not do, okay? So that was one of the things they got hit for and they got fined for. The security of your personal data, amendments, your rights, right? All these things, also any other like integrations and all the other stuff. So we have all that here too, if you're using whatever browsers and things. So ours is pretty, actually, pretty thorough. Okay, and every site, no matter who it is, has to have a privacy policy statement. Okay, how they're managing cookies and everything else and what to do to store the data. Now, the other thing too is, okay, so you contact us. Now, our form used to have it because I think I took off the form. But let's see, book of discovery. I think I just have the link to the Calendly, but Calendly or whatever it is, I think it's Visita. Let's see. Yeah, but within Visita, like when you click on this, like, you should get a, let's see, like the response, like the policy should be in there when you get the response in your email. I have to check that though. I have to retest that to see if it's still showing up. But anyways, it's also, like I said, do we have your permission, et cetera, to use your data, et cetera, right? Also the AAR form, okay, that I sent out also at the very bottom. Okay, and I'll go through at the end of this, the end of tonight's session as a whole. I'm going to go over that AAR form, because it's there in MS Teams, but also one of the questions is, do we have, your permission, right, to use your data, et cetera, right? Okay, so the answer to that is yes. All right, so BLUF, the bottom line upfront statement, right? It's all compliance, it's GRC. That's why I have you guys really, develop a really good fundamental, a titanium foundation. That's why I say that in GRC, because it doesn't matter the technology we choose, the policies we create, whether it be written or technical, all have to align with the relevant governance, risk, and compliance, right? Governing that data type, whether it's education data, legal data, right, which is PII, right? Health data, right? Credit card data, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Whether or not it's European or United States, right? Data, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so that concludes that. Any final questions on this one? Let's see, I think we have, oh yeah, okay, we move on to SOX after this. Any final questions though on GDPR and FERPA before we move on to SOX? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no, but if that changes, go ahead and put that in the chat. And I'll go at the end and see if I missed anything in the chat as well. All right, does anyone need a break? Is everybody good to kind of continue on, or does anyone need a break? Like a bio break or something? Anyone? We good? We're good. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a, okay, all good. Okay, all good. All right. All right. Can somebody did you hear the background? I think somebody's mic is on. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's still on. Okay.
Anna, I don't know if you meant to, but you just muted yourself.
Okay, yeah, when I muted everyone, sorry. All right, my bad. Thank you, Troy. Okay, so what is SOX, right? I'm going to cover that tonight. And what it means, the audit requirements, everything else, right? SOX, SOX, vice SOC, okay? All right, so what is SOX, right? So who do you think, has anyone here, first and foremost, has anyone here even heard of SOX, SOX? Other than what I posted in the, like MS Teams and what we're covering tonight. This is another thing you're going to actually come across eventually. All right, awesome, awesome. So who do you think is responsible for SOX compliance? Yeah, no worries. And that's why I'm covering it, right? So you kind of go and then I'll always provide the authoritative sources. So therefore you're not like deer in the headlights, right? Like, what the heck is that, right? Then you know at least where to go. You're not going to memorize the stuff. It's impossible. At least you'll have authoritative sources to refer back to. So who do you think is responsible? Finance. Ooh, Lance. Yep, you're on it. Yeah, these are okay, but a caveat that because the types of data is financial data, and is SOX a legal requirement? Yes or no? We talked about FERPA and GDPR being legal. Yes, absolutely. SOX compliance is a legal requirement for public companies in the US to ensure accurate and secure financial reporting. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act, okay, that's what SOX is, mandates that top management must certify the financial information, okay, and that outside auditors must review the corporate financial statements. SOX compliance is in fact verified by an annual audit. It's got to be annual, okay? That's the frequency that checks the data safeguarding, logging, and auditing standards of the entire company, okay? It's a requirement. It is law. What's the purpose? Let's talk about when it was established and why it was established. Does anyone kind of know when it was established? Yeah, 2002. Yep. Why do you think it was established? Why do you think it even came about? Yeah, to prevent corporate fraud, right? We're going to kind of talk about that for a minute. So, the SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, was passed by the U.S. Congress to protect the public from fraudulent or erroneous practices by corporations or other business entities. Okay, the law, in fact, is named after Paul Sarbanes and Michael Oxley, okay, the two congressmen that drafted it. Okay, if you're interested in history, I like history. So, the stated goal of SOX, though, pursuant to the requirement, the law, is to prevent investors by improving, or excuse me, to protect investors by improving the accuracy and reliability of corporate disclosures. But it was really a reaction, though, okay, to several major financial scandals, including, ready? Right? I'm sure you remember. Some of you remember. Enron, Tyco International, Adelphia, Peregrine Systems, and WorldCom, to name a few. Arthur Andersen was another one, too, by the way. These scandals cost investors billions of dollars when the company's share prices collapsed and impacted public confidence in the U.S. securities market. So the act contains 11 titles, okay, in total. And I'm going to provide you all the links and stuff so you can actually look this. So we're going to kind of go through and dissect some of it, but I'm covering a lot of the high level points, the stuff that you need to know, and you can take with you, and then you can further, look into it and research it yourself. But it contains 11 titles, okay, covering additional like corporate board responsibilities and criminal penalties. And the enforcement implementation of these requirements were left in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission, but there's other elements. The SOX data security framework, okay? So it's summarized in 5 pillars. The financial data security, right? protections, preventing malicious tampering of that financial data, the track data breach attempts or remediation efforts, keep event logs readily available for auditors, and demonstrate compliance in 90-day cycles. That's key. That's key, okay? 90-day cycles and all that. But if you notice, there's a lot of overlap with what? Everything else, all the GRC compliance mechanisms and framework that you guys have become familiar with, okay? And again, if you use NIST, you should be good to go anyways. Okay, but there's a checklist. There's a checklist in all this, but instead of using a checklist for this and a checklist for that, just use one big one that encompasses all of it, and you can go back through and say, okay, then marry that up with the checklist of the framework in which you're using, and you'll see it's like, and actually NIST goes into a lot more detail than that. There's an OWASP, like application security checklist too, if you go to OWASP. But again, NIST SP 853 Rev 5 goes into great detail, better detail actually, I think. So who oversees SOX compliance? We talked about the Securities and Exchange Commission, but there's somebody else, and they're actually based out of Virginia. And they're like a quasi-government facility entity, actually. You guys want to take a guess?
CIA?
You probably don't, go ahead.
CIA?
No, right?
Dang.
No, no.
That was the only thing I could think of.
No, you're funny. No, it's cool. It's fine. No, but anyways, that's why I'm going over this, right? Because you kind of don't know until you start researching something, right? And so, Harvey Pitt, the 26th chairman of the SEC, okay, we talked about the Securities and Exchange Commission, but he led the adoption of the rules and, of course, created the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, PCAOB. It's out of Virginia, and which is in charge of overseeing, regulating, inspecting, and disciplining accounting firms in their roles as auditors of public companies. So it's auditor of the auditor companies. The auditors of the KPMGs, Deloitte's, right? All that kind of stuff get audited by PCAOB, which reports to also the Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, SOX also covers auditor independence, corporate governance, internal control assessment, and enhanced financial disclosures. Okay, so PCAOB. And by the way, the top dog there actually makes more money than any other government person, even more than Fauci was making or is making. Right, so it makes a lot of money. But PCAOB is like the auditor to the auditor companies, but they're quasi-government, which is really strange the way they're set up. So you need just look into that, and you'll see you're like, it's kind of weird the way it is. Okay, so do any other countries besides the U.S. follow SOX? If so, then which ones? Do you have any idea? Is it just U.S. that needs to meet these requirements, the law, or has any other country adopted it, you think?
What about the West? I don't remember. It's some acronym for the Western Hemisphere trade, and it's like Mexico, U.S., and Canada.
Okay, you got one of them. That was good. That's actually a good guess. So Canada adopted it also in 2002. Okay, same time it came out. Germany also in 2002. South Africa in 2002. Turkey in 2002. France in 2003. Australia in 2004. India in 2005. Japan in 2006. Italy in 2006, and Israel in 2006 have all since followed the United States and introduced their own SOX-like regulations. Okay, so just like we're following the GDPR, which is a European, everybody also follows NIST, by the way, the ISO, the international standards, but it all crosswalks back to NIST. So everybody uses NIST because they know it works, right? So that's what I'm saying. When something works, right, we recreate the wheel, right? So everybody's using it because it works. It does. Let's talk about SOX compliance and IT departments. So what role do we play, do you think, in this, right? What role do we play in IT and cyber, you think? Okay. So the cooperation of the IT departments is critical for SOX compliance. Okay, we play a critical role. Why? Because our efforts are necessary to ensure financial data security and financial record availability, okay, on the digital construct, processed, stored, transmitted, okay? We in IT must provide documentation proving that the company's internal processes are well within the data security thresholds outlined in the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And to fulfill our specific compliance obligations, IT departments must, okay, have confident awareness of all privileged access policies, boom, access control, understand current log management standards for all financial records, boom, AU family of controls, be open to increased transparency in financial data security practices, strive towards the continuous improvement of security risk remediation processes, aspire towards the incorruptibility, yes, incorruptibility and continuous reliability of all financial data. And let's talk about sections 302 and 404 of the SOX Act, because they specify reporting parameters for ID departments to prevent internal and external agents from maliciously modifying financial information, so data integrity, right? So we play a crucial role in this, and that's why also I'm covering this, okay? So are there any criminal penalties for altering documents under SOX? Digital or otherwise? Yes or no? What do you think? Yes, absolutely, and yes. Section 802 imposes penalties of up to 20 years imprisonment for altering, destroying, mutilating, concealing, or falsifying financial records, documents, or tangible objects with the intent to obstruct, impede, or influence legal investigations. It also imposes penalties of up to 10 years on any accountant, auditor, or other who knowingly and willfully violates the requirements of maintenance of all audit or review papers for a period of 5 years. Okay. Any criminal penalties for non-compliance? Yes or no? What do you think? We talked about manipulating the data knowingly. Okay. Yeah, exactly right. You can't do the oops either. It's like you can't do the yes, right? You know, oh, I didn't know. That's why you need to know, right? You need to be informed and you need to inform, manage up, right? Inform those C-suite members. Most like CISOs are not. I keep telling you guys, they're not IT people. They're not. They know keywords, right? It's the good old boy system, honestly. You know, they've known each other from whatever, okay? And then, hey, you know, and they kind of get in and they kind of, okay, yeah, well, you can learn it. Cybersecurity is really easy to learn. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you thought that? Oh, let me just take a quick Udemy course or try hacking me, get in the top 1%, and I'm now an expert in cybersecurity. That's a lot of people's mindset. They have no idea the level of cybersecurity knowledge that needs to be obtained in order to be successful in really defending everything processed, stored, transmitted. So for criminal penalties for non-compliance, this includes everybody involved. Okay, formal penalties of non-compliance with SOX include fines, removal of delistings from public stock exchanges, and invalidation of D&O insurance policies, right? That's like omissions and stuff, insurance policies. Under the Act, CEOs and CFOs who willfully submit an incorrect certification to a SOX compliance audit can face fines of $5 million and up to 20 years in jail. And that's for every instance. Yeah, so they can add up. All right, so, you know, what is a SOX audit? So what is it though? What do we do, right? So we talk about that. So, and how do we prepare, right? So I'm gonna go through that in the next slides. So a SOX compliance audit is mandated, like we said, yearly, right? So basically yearly assessment of how well our company manages its internal controls. And the results are made available to shareholders. Shareholders, okay? The primary purpose of a SOX compliant audit is to verify the authenticity of a company's financial statements. Okay, however, cybersecurity is becoming an increasingly important factor in SOX audits. There was just an appendix added to the Securities and Exchange Commission last year. I think it was like November-ish. Okay, it's like fall. And do you remember what I said? Because I covered this a while back. You might have heard it, might have escaped, went in one ear and out the other. Does anybody kind of remember what that appendix is, that addendum to the Securities and Exchange Commission requirements for publicly traded companies? Who do they need to have on their board and in their C-suite? What kind of skill set is required now? Not even an option. And then what do they need to do with vulnerabilities? Anybody kind of remember that? Okay, well, the requirement for publicly traded companies, if I can spit it out, is first of all, they need to actually have a cybersecurity professional with cybersecurity knowledge on the C-suite. Okay, a bona fide cybersecurity professional. Okay, not a buddy. Okay, not just a bro or a sis, right? They need to have a bona fide cybersecurity professional with knowledge, skills, and abilities and credentials, okay, on that C-suite. And secondly, they are obligated. Publicly traded companies are obligated now that if there's a vulnerability, okay, whether or not they remediate it or not, they need to notify the shareholders, okay, of that vulnerability, right? And the fact that they have remediated or whatever it is, right? So that's another thing that's in there too. You can look it up, actually. It was this fall when it came out that it became live and it's a requirement. So how many publicly traded companies do you know? Amazon, is it publicly traded? Everybody wants to work for Amazon. Is it publicly traded? What do you think? Yes. Google, is it publicly traded? Right? How about Divergence? Is it publicly traded? No, exactly, right? So we don't have to adhere to SOX in this case, okay? Now, if I was to go public, right, then yes, we would be required. Now, what about X? Is X publicly traded anymore, or is it now is a private company? Yeah, now it is, you know, a private company, right? So it does not have to adhere to SOX. So SOX compliance is only for publicly traded companies, okay? And so that's basically it, okay? Companies hire also independent auditors, right? You'll have internal controls auditors, right, to prep. But, you know, you must, of course, hire an independent auditing company to complete the SOX audit, as they must be separate from any other audits to prevent conflicts of interest that could result in tampering or any other issues, okay? So then what is reviewed then as part of the SOX audit, right? So, you know, obviously you're going to interview personnel and verify that compliance controls are sufficient to maintain SOX compliance standards, but what does that mean, okay? Specifically SOX sections 302, 404, and 409. Again, these are laws, that's why I'm mentioning them. They require a certain parameters and conditions must be monitored, logged, and audited. So let's talk about internal controls. Network activity, database activity, login activity, success and failures, okay? Account activity, user activity, and information access, right? But that's broad. And you're going to see that it's broad. So, but then what defines then meeting those compliance requirements? And how do you put the mechanisms in place? Where do we go, everyone? Where do we go? For the deep dive implementation guidance. What do I keep preaching about? NIST, exactly. NIST SP Special Publication 853 Ref 5. Why? Because it has all the deep dive meat and potatoes, right? When all these other requirements come out and then your organizations are like, oh my God, I have no idea what to do though. What do we do? Okay. You know, some people in an organization are going to know what to do, but to help, and again, what's the critical component? It's IT and cyber, right? That's a huge critical component in this as well. In addition to your CFO and your CEO and all the other stuff, right? The financial stuff, but a lot of it's digital. So, but what about digital transformation, right? You hear about digital transformation. Is that included in the audit, you think? You hear about digital transformation being thrown around, right? A lot. But do you think that's included in the audit? Yeah, good question. It's not now, but it will be in the future, okay? Digital transformation is expanding the range of potential pathways to processes handling financial data, you know, making a lot of financial processes increasingly vulnerable to cyber criminal compromise. Future SOX audits will likely focus more on the role of internal control and cybersecurity frameworks in maintaining financial data integrity, not so much the digital transformation. However, the processes that come out of that, though, will, right? Technology, all of that. So in essence, it is by proxy, right? If you will. Anyways, it already kind of is anyways. So how does an organization then prepare for a SOX audit? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. You know, obviously we need to update our reporting and internal audit systems so that we can pull any report that the auditor requests quickly and verify that our SOX compliant software is working as intended so there are no unforeseen issues. The SOX auditor is going to focus on 4 main internal controls as part of the yearly audit, okay? And to be SOX compliant, the organization needs to demonstrate 4 primary security controls. Access, that's securing all digital and electronic access points. Security, demonstrated resilience to data breach attempts. Data backups, right? No surprise there, right? The ability to maintain reliable backups of all off-site financial records. And then, of course, the 4th one is change management, the organization's ability to rapidly respond to software and database changes impacting financial records. So it's configuration and change management, which is governed by the CM family of controls in NIST, right? So all these things here, you know, access control, the AC family. Security, that's the whole thing. Data backups, right? That's also in the NIST family of controls, right? I'm just saying it's all there. So the benefits, I mean, the benefits outweigh the work involved. You know, basically, and you can read those for yourselves, but basically the SOX Act, you know, allows companies to standardize and consolidate key financial processes and eliminate redundant information systems, minimize inconsistencies in their data loss prevention policies, automate manual processes, reduce the number of handoffs, and eliminate unnecessary controls through all of this, right? You can read that on your own. All right. Are there any challenges to meeting SOX compliance? You bet there is. There's always challenges. And these are the 2 common ones, okay? The most complained about, if you will, the most vocalized, for obvious reasons, okay? Spreadsheet and end user access issues. Because spreadsheets, yes, people still use spreadsheets, continue to be a staple in the SOX workflow, partly due to their ability to link data across different documents and automate basic tasks. However, modern audit projects now require more attributes and details about controls, which can lead to version control issues. Partial or incomplete data, typos, deleted data, analyses of incomplete data sets, and process owners who are left in the dark, right? And data integrity stuff, right? The second one, rising costs and resources, that's quite obvious. However, while SOX really does, you know, bring many benefits to financial reporting and data security, maintaining SOX compliance continues to rise in cost. You may end up, if you're a KPMGer, when I worked for KPMG as an IT auditor and penetration tester, their primary focus was on their financial clients, right? So do you think I dealt with SOX? Do you think I was a SOX IT auditor? Yes or no? That's what I had experience in, big experience in. Yes, 100%. I am very familiar with SOX audits. I did them for years, actually, for KPMG. So there's a lot involved. And that's why I also have you guys doing audits, you know, the gap analyses and things like that, because the more you can learn about the side of the house of meeting compliance from the auditor or assessor's point of view, the better, more capable you will be in also helping your IT department, cybersecurity, the documentation, people, processes, and technology also meet compliance in that area. You know, so because you'll know then what's required, the artifact then that's going to be, because everything needs to be an auditable artifact, right? Whether it be a technical policy procedure, a written policy procedure. That's why I have you guys doing everything, because I have you guys looking at it from that lens. And so that when you go see from the preventative maintenance the continuous monitoring lens, the defensive lens, if you will, then you have a better ability to shore up those defenses and meet compliance requirements. That's why I have you guys do that. There's a method to that madness, okay? I normally say no more madness than method, yes, but I have you guys doing a lot, and that's why, okay? Very valuable information. And to certain things in which, like Treasury, what do you think they have? What kind of systems do you think they have? Now, they're not publicly traded company, they're a government entity, so they have a lot of other mechanisms they need to meet, but what do you think the majority of the systems actually are? Department of Treasury, what kind of systems?
Probably the cheapest thing they can find.
Yeah, finance, but they're finance systems, right? Finance systems, okay? CISO's pretty good. He's working to put a lot of provisions in place. There's a lot of change in any organization, Well, he's actually a pretty decent guy. He is, so it's awesome. All right, so let's talk about other noteworthy organizations and frameworks. Talked about the PCAOB. We talked, and then we're going to talk about the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, COSO, you probably didn't hear of. COBIT, some of you may have heard of, the Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. I'm going to walk those down. The Information Technology Governance Institute, the ITGI. So, we talked about PCAOB. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission. That's a lot to say, right? That's why we speak in acronyms. But what is that? Okay, it's a joint initiative to combat corporate fraud that was established in the United States by 5 private sector organizations. Okay, it's dedicated basically to guiding executive management decisions and government entities in relevant aspects of organizational governance, business ethics, internal controls, business risk management, fraud, and financial reports. COSO has also established a common internal control model against which companies and organizations can evaluate their control systems. Okay, let's talk about COBIT, the Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. It's a framework created by, does anybody know who created that? It's an organization I know you have heard. But you probably don't realize that they actually created this. Any guesses? CIS framework is created by CIS. NIST framework is created by NIST. The COBIT framework is created by ISACA. Yes, ISACA, ISACA, right? I know you guys have heard of them, but they created COBIT. This was years ago. And the purpose is for information technology management and IT governance. Okay, this framework, COBIT framework, defines a set of generic processes. Yes, I said generic processes for the management of IT, with each process defined together with process inputs and outputs, key process activities, process objectives, performance measures, and an elementary maturity model. Okay, so again, but you might hear COBIT and meeting COBIT requirements. That's where that comes from, so you guys aren't deer in the headlights. And the last and final one on this slide is the Information Technology Governance Institute, the ITGI. It's an IT framework to achieve SOX compliance that uses what? COBIT. Yes, COBIT, C-O-B-I-T, and COSO, C-O-S-O, right? The focus is on security instead of general compliance. Boom. Okay, where are the details? Where can you find the details of implementation? In the NIST SP 853 Rev 5, because it just goes right there. It's like deep dive, okay? It doesn't leave anything to question, like how do I do this and why and all that other stuff. Okay, folks, we're nearing the end of this. So what do FERPA, GDPR, and SOX have in common? In fact, what do all the frameworks, NIST, ISO, CIS, PCI DSS, HIPAA, CMMC, and all that other stuff we covered in our Cyber Agency internship program have in common? One word, folks. Or you can do 3 words or 4 words. What do you think? What's the bottom line up front? What are we meeting?
Security.
Yeah, but what kind of security though? Compliance, governance, risk, and compliance. That's the underbelly of this whole thing. Doesn't matter what you put in there, FISMA, ISO, NIST, CIS, HIPAA, FERPA, doesn't matter, SOX. It all comes down to meeting compliance objectives. So that's why, folks, the focus of GRC is so incredibly important, right? And just putting a slide together in university is not going to cut it, because that is the core of everything we do that extends to what data types are running in our environments, right? We follow the data, remember. Secret Services follows the money. We follow the data, and we have to protect it, process, store, transmit it, and all that spider web of interoperability of systems, okay? And network architecture and everything else. Okay, and we have to meet the laws and governance in the geographical areas in which we provide support, okay? And we're doing business and everything else, and we're working and all that, okay? So this concludes the training on FERPA, GDPR, and SOX. Okay, so now we're going to turn to our career AMA part of tonight's session to talk about LinkedIn profiles and how to turn them into a honeypot to track potential employers. But before we do, I'm going to pull up our final program, so we can open up questions and next steps. Okay, the final program AAR has already been provided to MS Teams to fill out before Friday's graduation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give me a moment, and I'm actually going to pull up go back to, so this is what you should have, again, received, okay, also in the link, okay? If you notice, what is at the bottom here? Anybody want to read that? For what? GDPR. Do we have your permission to use and store your information provided in this form for the purpose of contacting you concerning CyberAgency alumni events and opportunities? Yes or no? That's important. That's also part of meeting GDPR compliance, believe it or not. Okay, so let's turn to our program. Okay, so let's go and let me make it larger. See, 150 maybe, that's better. You guys see it okay? So, all right, so we had our pre-kickoff, remember, October 6th. Some of you actually started a bit earlier. Yeah, no worries, Lance. Okay, so we covered a lot, all right? I had already provided this to you, but I want to actually cover, because what I did is I did a gap analysis, right? When I missed the 2 weeks. So we're going to go actually all the way down. Sorry for making you dizzy. No, all the way down to here. Okay, it's actually week, I don't know, 16 or 17. I got to go back and count. So, but anyways, I extended it, right, for the 2 weeks. You guys did the presentation of findings, recommendations, and alternatives, from your gap analyses conducted during the last 2 weeks of December 29th. We covered the makeup training conducted in the first 3 weeks of January 2024, which were PCI DSS, HIPAA, ITIL, cost benefit analysis, presenting risk, FedRAMP and cloud, and tonight, of course, FERPA, SOX, and GDPR. Okay. Then, of course, right, the graduation certificate ceremony is going to be a live webinar on January 19th. Okay, it'll be a link that you guys can share out to whomever you want to attend. It's fine. We're going to also post a digital yearbook. We did that for the spring crew. We're going to do that also for you guys too. You guys can, it's really cool actually. You guys can share. It'll be open for a period of time and you can download it, right, for record. It's a nice digital touch, if you will, to graduations and stuff. And then LOR, so you guys will all get letters of recommendation. They'll be delivered through VCTA, okay, or direct email. Your direct email listed in MS Teams, okay, by the end of January 24. Give me a couple weeks. I still have to go and update the LORs from the other teams, especially the folks that stayed on. I still owe them that too. I haven't even gotten to that. So, give me to the end of 2024. All right, alumni, or the end of January, sorry, 2024. Alumni events will be conducted monthly, okay, here on out. Mentorship one-on-ones can be scheduled through either here, okay, and I'm going to go there because there's 2 places. You can either do it through the Divergence one that we covered earlier, which is here. Let's see, contact us. Okay, but the thing is that on this one, I'd rather you not do it through here though. It pops up. Because this has got intro call and then cybersecurity advisory services. That's all that's on here. So I'm actually going to point you guys to the this one, which is my online portfolio. But the reason I'm having you guys go here because it's more personalized, because I have the other one kind of go into like the company stuff, right? General mailbox and stuff. This one, if you go to the contact Anna, this is why I'm having you guys go here. Okay, so whenever it comes up. And if you notice, this has free intro discovery call here too, strategy session, one-on-one session, consultation, paid consultation, career mentorship, okay? But for you, okay, it's free. Okay, it's free. So this one's free to you guys, free to our alumni. Okay, so use this one, okay, 30 minutes, and many of you might end up an hour and a half sometimes. So yeah, this one is for non-alumni because I'm going to start charging. It's ridiculous. But for you guys get it for life. I promise you that. I mean that. I'm here for you. I'm in your corner. I'm your biggest cheerleader. Okay. So, and I know some of you I have to reschedule. I get it. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of stuff that went down and went on, but I should be okay. Towards the end of like January, start doing it, like wait a couple weeks and then we can start booking it, because then I will have wrapped up all your LORs. I'll have done that too. So just wait a couple weeks if you don't mind, and then I can start putting some, because I'm in school too now as well. So let me kind of iron out some times. I'll post it in Discord and stuff and what have you. So towards the end of the month, but give me time to wrap up things, okay? And then I'll start doing the mentorship sessions again, okay? So anyways, but book here, okay? So go to contact us, go to the annalinden.online, book online, but go here, just scroll down and click on this one because it's free. Anybody else though that wants it, and I need you guys, put in the form because there's a form there. Make sure you say you're part of the autumn internship. Yes, I remember a lot of you. Sometimes though, a few years back, there's so many people, sometimes like, wait a minute, who was that person again? I mean, I remember a lot of you, okay? I mean, I do, even folks that I teach and stuff, I do. Okay, you guys are close to my heart, but sometimes I may have a memory lapse is all I'm trying to say. So if you would be so kind, so I know, and that you guys are free, because if not, then I would refer you then to do this one because I'm not doing crap for free anymore. None of it. All right, so you obviously get continued access to our public communities Discord channel. Continue to share resources in there because that's what it's for. Share resources, jobs, like anything you see, anything that can help others. That's what that community is for. Help each other. Share your LinkedIn profiles. There is a LinkedIn channel there, so share your LinkedIn there so that you can actually look. Stay in touch with us, with all of us, right? Your net worth is equal to or greater than your net work. Okay. So don't lose touch. Okay. If you do come back around and say hi, pop into an alumni event. You're always welcome. Also work to schedule ISC2 and CompTIA certificate study sessions. I'll try to do one once a month. Like what I'll do, maybe I'll do a career AMA 1 month and then I'll do a study session 1 month or whatever the interest is, right? For whatever, it's a Security Plus or whatever. Now, .edu accounts get 30% discount. So if you already have a .edu account, awesome. Then go to CompTIA or ISC2, okay, and go directly there and you get a 30% discount. For everyone else though, okay, contact us to schedule a time to purchase exam vouchers, and you can use that mentorship time to do that. So just book it in the mentorship time because it takes about, because I need to log into the partnership portal. And of course, whether it be ISC2 or CompTIA, because we have partnerships and we can offer you a 20% discount courtesy of Cyberagents AI, our partnership with ISC2 and CompTIA. That's why we did that. That's the only reason why we did that, honestly. Okay, all training recordings will be found on YouTube on the Cyberagents AI channel. You can listen and subscribe to the Cyberagents with Anna Linden podcast as well, because there's a ton of other educational content there for reference too. There's like, I don't know, 127 episodes by this point or whatever. The SOC team is on hold right now, but for those interested in staying on, just note it in the AR. There is a question there. In fact, it's somewhere here. Somewhere. Yes. Are you interested in staying on to support our SOC? Make sure you do this because when the SOC is back on, then I'll be reaching back out to you at that time, okay, for those that are interested. For those not staying on after graduation, we'll of course deprovision your devices and your accounts from Jump Cloud, MS Teams, and others. For those of you that are going to be in SOC, right, then of course you'll get access to the SOC channels and things like that. And again, you will have access to Discord, YouTube, and podcast. So I do appreciate your all's flexibility, okay, with the kind of restructuring a bit, based upon my family emergency I had, last year. I do appreciate that. We were able to get everything in though, which is awesome. That's why I ended up extending it, okay? But anyways, I do appreciate you all. And like I said, all the recordings will be thrown up to, YouTube, so you guys will have them available to you indefinite to go back and review, okay? All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and talk about, well, actually, I'm just gonna throw up my LinkedIn real quick. I'll start off with mine, and then we can go for, actually pull it up, and then I'll reshout my screen in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and lead us off, and then I need you guys then to play along, right? For those of you that are interested, because, and this will be recorded because it's not to call anybody out, but this is to help you, trust me, right? Like we had special, was it Lance, Ian, right? Variety of folks. There's a reason you're not getting outreach, okay? There's a reason for that. People look at your LinkedIn profile because it's your digital resume. It is. And just like when we interviewed you, okay, we we looked at your LinkedIn profiles as much, if not more, than your resumes, to see what kind of things you're posting and all that stuff. Does your background kind of marry up with the public, right, version of you? Let me get my thing back. So with this, right, nobody really cares about this. This doesn't really come up in, of course, the searches. What does, though, is your about section. So when you go to your about section, if you don't have one, all you do is you do add profile section, and you can add about section. Okay. Now my about section is a little bit different because I'm targeting like, a business basically. So, that kind of stuff, but I, personalized it. Now, what you're going to do is when you update your resume, you're going to take your summary of qualifications and you're going to put it here. Basically, how many years of total experience, boom, right? All that kind of stuff. When kind of what you do, what you're targeting kind of thing, right? But it's going to be a summary of qualifications. Okay. You can also put your objective there if you'd like, kind of what jobs you're kind of seeking. And then up here, change instead of intern now, because you guys will have graduated, right? You guys are going to like say, you can do SOC analyst or GRC, whatever you're targeting, put it here. Okay. And of course, make sure that your summary of qualifications then leans heavily more towards whatever you're targeting, right? So like, for instance, if you're going for auditor, then put the auditor stuff, like all the stuff you did on the risk assessments and things, right, the front end, but still have your technical stuff there. Just make it stronger, make it instead of putting it at the top, put it under your assessment stuff, right? If you're going for SOC, then highlight your SOC experience with the GRC stuff being complementary, right? You get my drift, right, with that? If you put an all-encompassing resume, it's going to be confusing. So you need to target your resume. You can have several actually targeted focused. And whatever target focus you're going for, though, take that summary of qualifications and literally copy and paste it in your about section. Okay, you don't have to, you have the opportunity actually to post your resume here, but don't, because your resume is a living document, right? When you get a certification, for instance, you're going to update it, right? It's a living document, okay? But you'll see, because after working with David and Ian and Lance and everyone else, they actually started getting a lot of outreach in the messaging. Because what you want is you want to turn your LinkedIn, especially your about section, start posting, into a honeypot in a good way, right? So also request, now I can't do it if you are not basically a follower or a friend or whatever, connection, but you can actually request a reference, okay? Request a reference. I hope I gave everybody references. I was supposed to give references too, but and again, ping me if I did not. I think I covered everyone that actually is requested. And you can request it of each other too, right? Because that helps, right? Go to each other's profiles and help and look and, like the skills and all that, even projects, you can put like GitHub. If you have a project, you can put your GitHub project there, right? Because I'm expanding also to the journalism and writing stuff too, the public relations stuff as well. That's why I'm also kind of blending mine a bit, but, doing a lot of consulting and education still, because that's my bread and butter. The other stuff will be a complementary layer too, and help me to also get the branding out of the company, because you can spray and pray on social media all you want, but really it's the national syndicates, right, that matter, that really get the name out. I mean, how many people that go on Shark Tank, for instance, even if they don't get funding, they still get a whole bunch of notoriety, right, because it's exposure, right? So that's what I'm going to kind of learn how to do. And once you become basically one of them, right, basically, then they normally will have you on their shows and stuff. So that's what I hope to do to expand our branding and awareness, right? So we can expand and blow up like crazy, and start getting a lot more money in. Anyways, especially since I changed the name to Cybergence, like towards the end of the year, it's like what, July or something, June or July. So it hasn't really been a lot of time that the Cybergence name has been out there, right? So we need to get the brand recognition. That's big for any company, right? So, all right, anyways, okay, so that's mine, right? But you want to tailor your resume and you want to tailor your LinkedIn profile for what you're going for and keep it updated. And again, share cybersecurity stuff, right? Don't be sharing also, and look at your other social media platforms, because make sure they are, yes, they're personal, but people do judge you. I'm sorry, they do. Like if they happen across, like if they Google yourself and see what comes up. Google your name, just Google it in Chrome, go to DuckDuckGo, go to all that too, do Firefox, right? See what comes up in the search criteria and see what you're putting out there. See what comes up under your name, because you'd be surprised. Like for instance, if you're going for something that you eventually want a clearance in cybersecurity, you're definitely going to want a clearance, right? Because that's indicative of what we do, supporting government, supporting a variety of things. And if you want to expand your market ability and money actually in our sector, then getting a clearance is a way to go, right? If you, in fact, you can get into a position that will afford the opportunity for you to pursue a clearance. So I say that because some people will post like anti-US government stuff on there, right? Or club stuff. But put yourself in the employer's shoes. If you were going to go work for and be responsible for protecting the government's data, the US government's data, and you're putting anti-government rhetoric on there, do you think that they would want to hire somebody like that? I mean, what do you think? Yes or no? Right? You know, I mean, they would take a second look and like, okay, I'm going to pass on that person because you could end up being an insider threat, right? Big time. So be very careful in what you're posting, even on your other social media platforms, because everything is out there for public display, unfortunately, right? So, you know, you don't have to be a square or whatever, but be an oval or something, right? You know, be an oval, be close to a square, you know, and all that. So, because again, you're looking for a job, and your social presence actually does matter to employers more so than ever. And also, because, you know, like I said, as employers, we can be canceled. Like, you know, people put out like hit jobs, like, you know, digitally and all that. Like, you know, don't support Cybergence, right? Because shoot, the owner, you know, they hired somebody that was this or whatever, you know, and stuff like that, right? And guilty by association, and then oh my God, and then it's like it trickles down, right? That's the way society is, unfortunately. But that's the way employers are as well now, especially looking, and me too, I look intently because I want to lower the risk also to my organization and who I'm exposing the data to and other people to, right? So that's incredibly important. So make sure that your digital presence is a professional one, and one that if you were an employer that you would see in a positive light. That's incredibly important. Okay. The picture too, the picture. Okay. Make sure it's a professional picture. You know, so, you know, if anything, right, I know this is a professional picture, obviously, but you can actually have somebody like take a picture, you know, just have a suit on or even a tie. If you don't have a shirt and tie or whatever, at least have a button up collared shirt on if you're a guy, right? And put yourself against, just to say, a door or a wall that's just white background, so it's not distracting, right? Like not a busy background with patterns, right? And if it is a color background, just make sure it's complementary to what you're wearing, right? And it's not distracting. Okay, make sure you're looking into the camera. Make sure that it's at least, you know, from the breastplate up, okay? Not a passport picture where it's just neck up, but from the breastplate up so they can kind of see that and you're not like all up in the camera. See how like Marlon has his, Z has his, right? He was one of my prior students too. Robert Wu, look at, see, breastplate up. See that? So you're not like totally in the camera, but they're looking. Like if we go to Robert's, okay? So let's use his as an example, okay? So again, here's in his about section, and guess what he put here? He put his summary of qualifications, right? You know, and again, he's looking into the camera, right? He's got a nice smile. He's got a cybersecurity type of background. So it's, you know, it shows cybersecurity, right? So it's not confusing. People know that when they go to your profile, yep, that's a cyber guy, or that's a cyber girl, or a cyber person, or whatever, right? Let's go to Marlon's. So let me go to Marlon's. Oops. Marlon Hyun. Yeah, right there. Type tonight. Okay, so let's go to his profile. Okay, and see, look, he's, you know, decent. Some people don't like the smile, and that's okay. But it's serious. You look serious. And then of course you look at the background, right? So something IT cyber-ish, right? So and then look at, and so again, put what you're going for, right? And what have you, information security analyst, cyber security control assessor, etc. Right. And this comes straight out of his summary of qualifications. Okay. Straight out of summary of qualifications. Okay. It's really easy because some people scroll down, some people don't. Okay. And then make sure, like I said, on your resume and on your LinkedIn is quantifiable data, right? This is a summary, but make sure it's quantifiable, whatever you're putting in there, right? What controls did you specifically review while you were in Cybergence, right? So you can speak to it, right? Don't put general comments because then it looks like BS to people, right? So let's look at David's. So David Watchern, right? You can use these as an example, right? But tailor it to what you do. See, look at his. And it can be a grayed out picture. Mine's grayed out, right? So you can be gray and white. The black and white photos are cool, or the colored photos are cool too, which are awesome. All right. So either or, just because I have a black and white photo doesn't mean you have to do it either. But either way, it's fine as long as, again, he doesn't have a tie on. He has a button-up shirt. It's got a thing. And look, from base of the breastplate up. And the background is cyber. Okay. Cybersecurity, right? Stuff. Okay, and of course you put kind of what you're going for a little bit, high level stuff, right? Also in his about section, this is from his summary of qualifications, okay? And again, goes into what he's done. Now you don't have to put in all the relevant cyber IT stuff. Like you don't have to go through, especially if you've got 30 years experience, you don't have to go all the way like to high school, okay? Go back to the stuff that's relevant in the career field that you're going for. If you're new to cyber, then yes, obviously you're gonna have a couple prior jobs, but make them relevant, and also on your resume, point to the translatable skills in cybersecurity, right? So if you are, so I get a lot of these where it's like just marketing stuff. Okay, I even had one like to be on somebody's board. This one was a fellow instructor, so she's asked me to help her because she wants to start a business. She's awesome, actually. She's really good. And I'm actually thinking about hiring her too for like instructor for the apprenticeship program too, because she's awesome. Okay, anyways, I kind of digress and I apologize. I do that a lot. Okay, so anyways, start sharing out, like I said, cybersecurity content. Make sure your resume is targeted and focused towards the type of job in cybersecurity that you're going for. If it's SOC, then make sure you highlight your SOC skills as the king, but make sure you still leave the GRC stuff on there. Why? Because everybody wants you to know GRC. You have to, otherwise you're worthless actually to anybody, right? Because the stuff that you're making recommendations for has to align with regulatory requirements. As you saw from all of the things we covered through the program, there's a lot, right? And a lot of IT people don't know that, okay? So, look at his. He's got summary qualifications, like I was mentioning, and he has some of this stuff. But look at the difference. Okay, so he's got, GRC analyst control assessor. Okay, so that's what he's got. Okay. All right. And then, because at the time it was 270 during the spring program. That's what we started with. There's a lot of people. Oh my God, a lot of people. And of course he put student, right? But he put, cybersecurity, etc. Director of procurement. But look what he did, right? So he aligned that where it says responsible for purchasing, managing all production materials and relevant software. Okay, so he aligned the IT stuff, the IT related stuff also, put that at the top, right, of the, and that's why I say in your resume, do the same thing. Put the IT level stuff at the top and then the supplemental, right, to that. Manage inventory level, suppliers, procedures, created a purchase requesting ticketing system, all those things, right? So, president owner, but look what he did. Responsible for purchasing materials and products, utilize point of sale proprietary software to conduct. See, this is what we did on his resume. And he took these same bullets then and copied and pasted them in his LinkedIn so it matches. Okay, and anytime you update your resume, you need to go back and update your LinkedIn. So same thing here, right? So, and again, take what, the relevant stuff, also, certifications you have, etc., additional training, all that kind of stuff, right? And also get recommendations. How come he doesn't have, did I not give him a recommendation? I could have sworn I gave him a recommendation. I need to give him one. Okay, so I need to go give, I thought I gave him one. That's weird. Okay, so yeah, if I'm missing anybody, like David, for instance, I missed David. I didn't put that down. I didn't realize I didn't even give him one. So I do give you guys letters of recommendation. Those are, you know, you'll get one. It's about 2 or 3 pages long. It's not just a quick and dirty thing. I actually go in detail, okay? And I put quantifiable metrics on it. So it's a real quality letter of recommendation. When you submit for jobs, right, you can put that on the back end. So it's one big, you can do a cover letter, right? You can do the resume, and of course you can have the letter of recommendation at the back end of it as one PDF. And so when it gets passed around, you know, those attachments don't get separated, right? Because you know how it is, it gets separated in transit. Also put page numbers on your resume. Yes, I said that. And put, like, you know, your name and of course the pages or whatever. And the reason why I say is because as it gets passed around or even printed, right, that can get lost in the sauce or jumbled up with somebody else's resume accidentally. So, you know, help in your objective, right? Remember, your objective at the very top of the resume should reflect what job you're going for, right? And at what company, right? Because that helps the HR people, you know, the technical recruiters, all that, to be able to keep your resume in the appropriate pile all the way to the hiring manager, right, and beyond. So think about making lives easier for other people. Who else? Let's go to, like, I think Ian. Let's go Ian Dofsky. Go to his. So these, like I said, there's an example as examples, right? Because I just worked with them too, again, a couple of weeks ago or whatever, going for a specific contract. But see, look, you know, we try to do the light color background or whatever. You know, so it's not distracting, right? You know, and this is red and black. Okay, cool. He's got a smile, etc. Right? Don't wear a hat if you can help it. Don't wear a hat. Okay. Go ahead and show who you are, because it's the professional you, right? And of course the background. Okay, it's got the background, cybersecurity, right? All that kind of stuff. His about section marries up with his summary of qualifications, right? You know, and then of course all this, of course, copied and pasted from, you know, we started the resume first, and then of course you copy and paste the relevant stuff to your roles. Okay, but look at here, like even courier with Uber Eats. Let me just see something, right? Help to ensure that the translatable skills to IT and cybersecurity were captured. So you with Uber Eats part-time. So check this out, right? It's transferable skills, relevant, okay, to the job. That's what you want. Everybody knows Uber Eats is a driver, okay, everybody knows. But what do you do though? What are some skills that transfer into cyber and IT? You'd be surprised. You know, even the customer service stuff, maintaining clear and effective communication, boom, with customers to provide updates to delivery status and address any concerns or inquiries. That's important, right? Wouldn't you say, in cybersecurity and solving problems and communication and all that stuff? We're always preaching communication. Handle point of sale and cash transactions. Resolve delivery-related problems promptly and efficiently, including order errors, missing items, or customer dissatisfaction, right? That's problem resolution stuff. Complied with user Uber Eats policies and guidelines. Yes, what do we do in cyber? We have to adhere and write policies and procedures and guidelines, including food safety, you know, like OSHA and company standards. Maintain accurate records of deliveries, mileage, and other relevant information required by Uber Eats. So again, you see that? See how it's still being honest, but it's translating the relevant skills to cybersecurity and IT. You guys see that? So again, note these, like Ian Radofsky, David, etc., right, and all that. Even here, let's look at here. So let's look at this one. Okay, certified medical assistant. So help manage the office's computer network that utilized legacy systems, and yes, he did that in addition to his job. Secured patient information in accordance with HIPAA regulations, right? And 1P, folks, not 2, because then you look like an idiot. Okay. I mean, you're representing knowledge, and then if you misspell something, or, you know, it's going to make you look like an idiot. It just will, right? I'm just saying. So they'll laugh and chuckle and they say, okay, next, right? Because attention to detail is another thing that's under our thing, right? All right, so prepared patients for examination and documented medical histories during their visit, their documentation, assisted with minor procedures, administered medications as directed by the physician, and provided patient education on self-care and medication instructions, because education and consultation go hand in hand. Served as a point of contact for patients, providing clear communication, empathy, and reassurance. So again, customer engagement, you know, customer facing skills, all that kind of stuff. So do you see how we did that, you guys, ladies and gents? So use these as examples when you are actually, updating your resumes. Okay, I give you guys guidance, like the common or the commercial resume guidance. All that stuff is actually on the YouTube. Commercial resume, federal resume guidance, all that kind of stuff is on there as well. I even have a podcast where I cover LinkedIn About section stuff. I even have a dummy LinkedIn About section thing that you can actually put in there and use, but make it more personal, like, right? So, when you design, like, look at the difference. Cybersecurity professional with how many years? It should start off with that, with how many years of experience? And you can do combined experience in cybersecurity, IT, sales, and customer service. Utilize the NIST 800 series guidelines, CMMC and ISO 27001 standards to help implement compliance programs to assess cyber agents, AI systems, and architecture security controls compliance, right? Develop POEMs and SOPs during, as identified during assessment. Okay, we need to update that. Exhibited strong communication skills through frequent risk briefings to senior leadership. So I'm going to talk to him because we need to update that. All right. So anyways, and of course, if you go to David, okay, even Eric Daniels, right? So let's go to Eric's. Eric's is a good one too. Okay. So, and this is fine. The way he has it is fine. So, again, he's not like all up in the camera, right? Oh, good. And Brian changed his, because for a while, I told Brian it was almost like he was looking through a keyhole, like in somebody's door, because he was like right up in there, right? But look, see, even he's only go to Brian's first. So see, look at him. See, breastplate up, right? It's perfect because you're not right up in there, right? They can see who you are, right? It's a button-up shirt, which is fine. It's appropriate, okay? Even if it's a polo shirt, doesn't matter as long as it's a collared shirt of some sort, okay? And he chose red, which is fine, with the lighter color background. And then of course, cybersecurity, right, is the background, right? It's obvious. He's in cyber IT, right? That's what I'm saying. You want to make sure it's like, okay, yes, it's what you're focused on, cyber, okay? So, and then of course, if we go down to his about section, right? Okay, so he has the one from the from the template that I gave you guys, which is fine, which is okay too. So you can use that as well, but tailor it for you guys, right? Tailor it for what you've done and things like that. He also, right, took from the resume, it's the information analyst, plan sponsor liaison, junior cybersecurity analyst intern, right? All that. So again, look at their write-ups, right? How, now this one is mostly, like CVS and all that. This is all cyber and IT anyway. So he's going to have a leg up anyways on jobs. He just will, because he's got a cybersecurity background. Eric Daniels is one of my prior students out of University of Buffalo. So experienced security control assessor, insurance claims adjuster, right? But here's what we did to his too. So this is a really good example too, right? Because we also tailored and transferred, like we utilize transferable skills even from being an insurance adjuster, because there's a lot of transferable skills there. So, we have solid professional with over 20 years of cumulative work experience in customer service, medical claims, and insurance audits. And then utilize the NIST SB 853 Alpha Rev 5 to review, that's the assessment guide, to review policy procedures as part of an ongoing risk assessment, because he's targeting assessment. Adept at analyzing insurance claims. See, this is part of how we did it. And adept at analyzing insurance claims to deter fraud and determine root cause. Boom. Notice that root cause analysis and all that, right? Similar verbiage and lingo and things, but things that he did as an insurance adjuster, right? That are, again, are transferable skills. Maintain evidentiary, because the soft skills and the hard skills are transferable, right? So maintain evidentiary artifacts using the SIS controls, self-assessment toolkit. Spell that out to you guys. You can CIS, everybody knows, but spell that out, because a lot of people don't know what CSAT is, honest to God. They know what like exacta, CSAM and all that is, but they don't know what that is. A lot of people have never heard of it. Participated in POEM management, right? And risk remediation. A lot of people know what POEM is in our industry, so you don't have to necessarily spell that out, but this one do. Use advanced methods of identifying indicators of compromise through conducting analyses of vulnerability and log reviews of 270 systems, right? Because at the time it was 270. Now let's go into his, let's go into here, see more. Okay, and let's go into, let's see, the technical claims. Yeah, you didn't put that on there. You didn't add it on there. Let's see. Okay, analytical sales teamwork. Okay, that's fine. But anyway, take the stuff from your resume, right, and put it in here, the stuff that's transferable. So it all crosswalks, right? And so it tells a story, right? And they can see publicly and on paper that you're basically the same person, right? Because if this is completely different and it's speaking a different something, targeting, then they're going to take a second guess, right? We did that for all of you guys too, because we were looking at everything. Let's look at Kevin's, okay? So let's look at, because these are folks from my spring crew, so that's why I'm using them as an example, because they've been through the program, they've been here since March. Now, okay, so he used, he used the template, right? It's out of Discord, one that I shared with you several times, actually. That's fine, you can do that too. Just tailor it a little bit to yourself, right? So that's fine, you can do that, like I said, because that's another approach. And then, yeah, you can do it like this. But again, be as specific as possible, right? Because this just kind of, if you like copy and paste from somewhere, right, they can kind of tell. So, I mean, he applied stuff, he went through and did a list, but be quantifiable. Audit preparation using what exactly, right? Log analyses on what SIM tool exactly, right? So be specific, because too then, and do things that you've actually done, because then it makes it a lot easier too when they say, okay, give me an example of when, right? And when you come to the interview, right? When you're in a Zoom interview or MS Teams or whatever, you want to have either a printed copy of your resume or a digital one that's up, but not to where you're reading off of it. But I mean, so you can refer back to the bullet points and things. But if you have quantifiable data in there, it'll also jog your memory to tell us, because it'll say, oh, I see you did this. Tell me about a time when you did this. So do you manage like 26 computers? Tell me a little bit about that, right? So, be prepared to speak about whatever you put on your resume. So make sure it's something you've done, but be quantifiable with it, right? So it's believable and it's something you've actually done, okay? Because they'll ask you about that. And that helps to provide additional credibility also to your statements. So again, whatever you have on your resume, make sure you crosswalk it to your LinkedIn profile. So you should be updating both. The minute you add, let's just say Security Plus, you should add it to your resume and you should add it to your LinkedIn. Okay, because what you want then is in the messaging bucket, you want people coming to you, right? Because when they make the first move, right, you have the upper hand then, right? You have the upper hand. So, all right. Does anybody want me to look at theirs and give you guys some guidance? Yeah, no worries, Carmen. Go ahead.
I corrected some of the things that you said, so I'd like to take another crack at it and see if I've fixed the things.
Awesome. No, perfect. Thank you. And see, that's what, like I said, Troy, see, this is the speak up and say, hey, help me, right? And stuff like that. And that's why they're going to be successful in the industry, right? And stuff. So, yeah, I mean, this people like this, right? So don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, so yeah, okay, this looks better. This looks much better, because initially, and Troy, if you don't mind, I'm just going to explain, but not to call you out or whatever, but appreciate you, Troy. So initially, right, the picture he had looked like a gaming picture. Okay, it looked like a gaming picture, like something you would have on your, your handle or whatever for your gaming handle, right? And stuff. So told him to just, and he looked really young. He looked super young. Okay, so if you are young, because there's ageism on both spectrums, the older side, which I'm on that side of it, and then there's the younger side of, oh, not too inexperienced, etc. And the picture that he had on there initially made him look so young, like he was like green behind the ears, right out of high school, kind of young, right? And so, nobody's going to take him seriously, right? But now this is different, right? So the breast up, and that's fine. He's smiling in the picture, right, and all that. And it doesn't look like a gaming photo. It looks like, okay, yes, I'm taking this seriously. I'm a professional. Look at me, okay? Right, because this is your sell, right? This is your marketing yourself. And look, the background, cybersecurity, perfect. He's got cybersecurity professional, he's targeting SOC analyst, perfect. The about section, okay, solid professional with over 3 years. So when you have 3 like this, also put in like parentheses the number 3, because it's the way the eyes travel. Okay, I mean, I saw it in the first sentence, but Just improve upon it just a little bit. Just put in parentheses the number 3 there so people see the number as well. Right? No, but it's good because he's got a solid professional with over 3 years of cumulative experience in customer service, financial services, and IT. Okay. And you see how if you have financial background, like or even exposure to financial services, they're always in a state of audit. So they would love to have you. Anybody with financial, are you flipping kidding me? Right? So you're like, you know, the golden goose, if you will. They like those of us that have financial experience background. Combination of both academics and real world hands-on experience. See how we did that in Hunt analyses? So you're combining it, but you're saying, okay, yes, I have the academics and the hands-on, right? I have a cumulative though of 3 years experience in these areas, customer service, financial services, and IT. Okay. Then you got motivated information security analysts skilled in monitoring and securing systems and data, experience with conducting risk assessments using NIST, CIS, and ISO frameworks, proven past performance qualifications in a SOC analyst role, because he's targeting SOC analyst, right? So again, you put what you're targeting, okay? Strong ability to use data-driven analytic tools to gain leadership buy-in, possesses strong interpersonal skills, works well with cross-functional teams, and has excellent customer relations and presentation skills. Boom. And they'll see that too on the resume, because his resume is top-notch. Because I've seen it, you know, I worked with him, worked with several other people in the resume, and it takes several iterations. We're going to do it. You know, you're going to adopt whatever you need to adopt. We're going to have another meeting, etc. Right? We'll go over it again. Whatever. Might have 2 or 3 meetings on your resume alone. Right? We can do them in small groups too, which is fine. But look, like, you know, he's highlighting, okay, because he's going to SOC analyst, he's highlighting a lot of the SOC analyst skills. See that? But he also covered too, you know, the GRC stuff. He just made that complementary. Right, Vice, he put more of the technical stuff, the SOC analyst stuff as the king, right? You see that? And then the other ones where they're going for, let's just say, security control assessor, you want to put the assessment as the king, and then the other technical stuff as the complementary layer. Because to do an assessment or an audit, you still have to be technical because you have to know what you're looking at. So you don't remove one. You don't have, like, if you have a GRC one and then a technical one. But then some people think you then, if you're doing GRC, you should remove the SOC, or if you're doing SOC, you should remove the GRC. No, you just make whatever you're going for the king of that, and, you know, make that stand out more, and just put the complementary layer of the other piece, because you need both anyways. Okay, so these call this out, which is awesome. Education, you know, and stuff like that. But you see how we did that? You see how we did that there, you guys? So, you know, you're going to have a couple meetings with me for sure. It's not going to be a one and done. Okay. So that's why I say, go take this guidance. Go revise your resume. Use also the template that I provided for commercial resume if you're going commercial jobs, which most of you are, or the government resume if you're going government, because I have both of those. I provided both of those actually several times. And I actually have 2 YouTube videos, 2 separate YouTube videos where I uploaded to YouTube that you guys can actually go back and watch if you want to, that kind of covers that. But go back and do that, because I don't want to start from scratch with you guys. I'd rather you guys have like a draft that you've taken a lot of the guidance that you've learned, applied as much as you can remember and reviewed. So the next time I speak with you, we can just hone on to certain things. We're not like completely revamping your resume. You see, and it'll be a lot easier then. But use the template. Why? Because it should be name. You don't have to put the address, right? Name, your LinkedIn link, stuff like that. You know, your obviously your cell phone number and your email. And also use your Outlook email, because, like, for instance, like Treasury, right? Well, if you're going for like Google, then use your Gmail. Do you see what I'm getting at, right? So if you're like Treasury uses also M365. They use MS Teams, so they use all that kind of stuff, right? So a big thing is that's a lot of what we use over there. And so it just makes sense, right? That you would, putting at outlook.com, for instance, it shows what, right? That, you know, like Microsoft stuff, Outlook, right? It's a huge piece of the, you know, 365 component, MS Teams, all that other stuff. But you see what I'm saying? Like, go for that. Like if you're going for, you know, AWS job, then it'd behoove you to get an AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. If you're going for Microsoft Azure, like a Microsoft Azure job, which they don't call it Azure anymore, it's something else. But if you're going for that kind of job, then go get a Microsoft Azure certificate in cloud. I'm just saying, right? Because you just go, you target for whatever you're going for, right? Is what I'm saying, and make sure that that shines. But it should be, okay, your name and all that, and then objective, okay? Don't put a lot of designs and stuff on your resume, because when it goes to an OCR machine, right, sometimes it'll kick it out or won't pick it up. It looks for keywords, right? It does. And so your objective should be whatever job you're going for. That's really for HR. That's a courtesy to them, because when they receive it, whatever team's looking at it can make sure, okay, yes, cybersecurity professional, but what specifically? Because we have like 150 jobs in cybersecurity, right? I mean, if you go to like Boeing, even Boeing has a lot of cybersecurity professional opportunities, but they're engineer, analyst, boom, 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 right? So they're like, okay, great, cybersecurity professional with Boeing, but what specifically? And if they can't determine it, they're going to put it in the no pile, because I'm like, okay, I don't know what they want, so I'm going to put them in the no pile, right? Because it's just too much work, right, for me. That's what they're going to think, honestly, because that's what I think when I get resumes. Right? So put yourself in their shoes, be specific, objective, seeking a SOC analyst position with Boeing, at Fort Rucker, Alabama, or whatever it is, right? If you have a location, right? Specifically, especially if it's asking for multiple locations, say multiple locations available, right? Then highlight which one you want, so they can make sure that they're sending you to the right team, because there's different hiring managers for those different teams. You'd be surprised. Different funding streams, right? Different managers for different locations, right? So make sure it gets in the right hands of the right people, right? The less confusion, the easier your resume will get from point A to point B to point C and all that, and you can interview. Now, the next thing you want is your summary of qualifications. It should look something like this. It's a paragraph or so. Bottom line up front, however many, years of experience, highlight the stuff in gist, right? And highlight some things you can look at. Again, Troy's, you can look at David's, you can look at Eric's, Marlon's, Kevin's, any one of those, Brian Flores, right, to any one of those, right, that you can look at. Let's look at Brian, see what he's got on there. So, he has Chief Compliance Officer. Okay, I'm not going to have you look at that because, okay, so he still has the old stuff in there. But, okay, anyways, go for what you're going for, right? Because if you put, okay, let's just say, I'm just pull this up. Okay, so he has Chief Compliance Officer, okay? But if you put, also here, okay, titles do matter, people looking at, because when people see Chief Compliance Officer, and let's just say he's going for an information security analyst, do you think they're going to hire him in as an information security analyst? What do you think they're going to see him as? Right, they're going to see him as like manager or C-suite positions, right? You see what I'm saying? So if you're going for information security analyst, or if you're going for, if you're going for, let's say, SOC analyst or whatever, even if you were a SOC team lead, take team lead out, because automatically they think they're automatically going to want to be a team lead. Okay, so take that out. And once you get your foot in the door, then your leadership skills and stuff will shine, and then you can get moved up. Even with me, even as a consultant, I dumb my resume down. I dumb it down. Why? Because if you look so like you don't want to look mediocre, but you don't want to look so high speed, low drag that somebody feels threatened about their job. No joke. It's the human element that just drives me nuts. So if you have master's degrees, take those off. Just go up to bachelor, because once they see master's degrees or even doctorate degrees, the PhDs, they think, oh my God, this person's going to ask for a lot of money. Right, and stuff, right? They're going to do all that kind of stuff. So take all that down, only put up to like a bachelor's degree in there. For like, even for me, even though I am, I own my own company, but I still, I put consultant, information security consultant, cybersecurity consultant. That's what I do. I get in there, right, and stuff like that, because then I get hired, and then they okay, C to C or whatever. Now I put things, so it depends on how I'm approaching it, because if I'm putting it as part of a proposal with other resumes, then naturally I'm gonna put everything on there. But if I'm going for, let's just say, consulting, getting in the door as a subcontractor, right? And I don't know the people, like they already have the contract, I'm coming up as a sub, then I will dumb it down a little bit, because I don't want them to think that I'm gonna go and champion my skills and then, take the client out from under them. Because you'd be surprised at how threatened you can't approach the client directly. You have to go through us, all that kind of stuff, right? And all that other stuff. And I get it, because it happens a lot, actually. So I get it, right? Out of professional courtesy. But get your foot in the door then let them see you shine, and you'd be surprised at how you'll flourish. But you got to get your foot in the door, right? So show team player. Okay, show team player. Even though you were lead, okay, don't have the lead. Even if you manage, let's just say Starbucks, you manage the Starbucks team. Okay, but make it more team oriented, right? Because you're trying to get your foot in the door. And then, like I said, once they see you and see your leadership skills and see you shine, then you'll naturally progress up in those positions. You see what I'm saying, you guys? Is it making sense? Yes or no? Yes? Yeah, so it's like the human element, right? When somebody sees the resume and they feel threatened, I've seen people absolutely not hire a person because they felt threatened, because somebody had more skills than them, more credentials than them, and they felt threatened. Doesn't matter. W-2s and contractors, it's all the same crap. And it's a shame, but that's the human element. So again, don't make yourself mediocre. Don't try to outshine the interviewer. Try to come out in the middle somewhere is all I'm trying to say. Yeah, no worries, Troy, no worries. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute. Anyways, thank you all very much for your time. And tonight is the last. No, yours looks really good, Troy. Yours looks really good. So yeah, his looks great. The only thing I just put the number in parentheses. But follow Marlon's, follow David's, follow Troy's, right? What have you. And because they've applied a lot of the stuff and they're getting a lot of hits. Like they're getting a lot of hits. And people are actually getting hired. I can't keep up with it so much that I get notifications all the time. I join here, I join there, right? And I don't have as much time as I had, right? Because I'm supporting a client as well as now back in school. So I was a little bit limited in that. But if you see somebody that says, hey, I got a job, but post it, because we like to highlight those wins too. And it also encourages everyone else that might feel discouraged, right? So sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others, okay? So for those of you that want to stay on, definitely highlight that in the AAR. We'll take a little break though, right? So we'll do graduation on Friday. And then we'll have, like I said, monthly career AMAs. We'll probably do every other month career AMA. And of course, we'll do, like a Security Plus study thing or whatever, if you want to do that in a smaller session with you guys, whatever you guys want to do. Make sure whatever you're going for, if it's a Security Plus or whatever certification, get yourself on the proctored exam list, right? Don't say, oh yeah, I'll get around to it. I'll do it in the fall of 2024. It's not going to happen. You know it. It's a human thing. It's the same thing for all of us. But if you have actually a date, they can put in it like an attainable goal, say a date. I need to do this. So I need to start studying like now because this is a date. You can always cancel that, but you don't want to do that, right? Then you have a date, you have a goal, okay? You have a tangible goal to achieve, right? With a date, okay? And then you're more apt to, complete it, okay? So I'm trying. It's the human element, all of us. It affects all of us the same way. We all procrastinate. Many of us all get around to it. Procrastinate some things, we do some other things, right? Whatever. So family gets in the way, whatever gets in the way, right? And the next thing you know it, oh my God, it's fall of 2024 and I didn't get my Security Plus, right? Boom. So that's what I'm saying is get yourself on a proctored exam list. That's all I'm trying to say, whether it be in person or remote, okay? And start studying for it. And then, like I said, you don't have to wait for our study sessions. You can actually just, hey, reach out. That's what the network is for. Ping Discord or whatever and say, hey, I'll leave you guys in MS Teams too for the end of the month, too, because then I'll ping you there and let you know. And also we'll have an alumni channel. We'll just keep you in like the GRC. Maybe I'll just keep you guys there. I think it's a lot easier. And just limit some of the channels, right, for role-based access control. So those of you that will be doing SOC obviously get access to that, et cetera, et cetera. But I think maybe I'll leave you guys in there a lot longer. And so therefore I can continue to post guidance and updates and things, especially when we have an alumni event or whatever. But stay in Discord because there's a lot of resources there. Again, help each other out. That's what that's for, and schedule, ping 2 or 3 people, 5 people, whatever. Say, hey, we have a study night or whatever, right? What we call a brown bag session or whatever, like during lunch or something where you're eating and doing the training or whatever, studying, okay? Help each other out, man. I mean, you guys know each other now, so work with each other, you know, leverage each other. If there's an opportunity you see, share it with other people, like, help other people out, right? And so what I'm saying, we're all a team, we all have similar goals in that regard, right? So, help each other out, don't forget about your classmates, your intern mates, right? So anyways, that's pretty much it. You'll get access to this recording as soon as available. Luckily with MS Teams, it's pretty quick. I'll download the MP4, upload it to YouTube, and then I'll post the YouTube link. And then, like I said, if you have any other questions, like I said, let me know. The SOC, we'll erect the SOC probably in like February-ish, sometime in February. So I just want to wrap up some things. I have a follow-up meeting with Jump Cloud. I had to actually postpone the second one because I had to reschedule because I had a competing priority at that time. But anyways, I'm going to meet with Jump Cloud. Then you guys will have access again and all the other stuff. For those of you that are no longer with the program or don't want to be the program, we can deprovision your devices and things like that. So don't have to worry about that. But just hang tight, okay? LOR's end of January, that kind of stuff. Just give me a moment to kind of like, because I have a lot on my plate. So I'm trying to do what I can. But my passion is cybersecurity with education. It's with you all. And it's also with being a voice, right? A voice, because I want to have a larger platform also to touch a lot more people, right? As well, help a lot more people. So, because that's just the way I roll. All right, with that said, are there any questions? You guys are probably tapped out, I know. Are there any questions or anything about tonight, about Friday? Okay, all right, excellent. I'll share, it'll be maybe it's just this one, maybe we'll just do this link. But that way too, you can share, just go ahead and share this link that you used tonight with whomever you want. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, okay, on Friday night will be the graduation, right? So you can share out the link, the same one you used tonight, with family members or potential employers, whomever you want, right, to attend. Yeah, and then we'll enjoy, and then fill out the AAR, don't forget, okay? Yeah, and then we'll go from there, okay? And post any other questions that you have in the MS Teams, okay? And we'll do our best to answer them there. All right, you guys? Thank you all. You guys are awesome, okay? Enjoy the night. We'll see you on Friday in an MS Teams in the interim.